Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're meeting someone new and don't know how to start a conversation? Or maybe you're at a party, at work, or even in a cafe, and you're not sure what to say to someone you've just met. How do you begin a conversation with a stranger in a natural way? In today's episode, we'll help you master the skill of making small talk with strangers in various situations. Small talk is a great way to break the ice, build rapport, and make social connections. Whether you're at a networking event, traveling, or just meeting someone new, knowing how to start a conversation can make you feel more confident in English. So, how do you start? What are some easy questions to ask when meeting someone for the first time? What are some phrases you can use to keep the conversation going smoothly? These are all questions we'll answer in today's episode. Let's dive in and learn some essential tips and examples for making small talk with strangers in English. Are you ready to speak confidently? Let's get started. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're meeting someone new and don't know how to start a conversation? Or maybe you're at a party, at work, or even in a cafe, and you're not sure what to say to someone you've just met. How do you begin a conversation with a stranger in a natural way? Have you ever felt nervous about making small talk in English and wondered how to keep the conversation flowing smoothly? In today's episode, we'll help you master the skill of making small talk with strangers in various situations. Small talk is a great way to break the ice, build rapport, and make social connections. Whether you're at a networking event, traveling, or just meeting someone new, knowing how to start a conversation can make you feel more confident in English. So, how do you start? What are some easy questions to ask when meeting someone for the first time? What are some phrases you can use to keep the conversation going smoothly? How do you find common ground quickly? And how can you make the conversation feel more natural instead of awkward? These are all questions we'll answer in today's episode. Let's take a moment to think about this. When you meet someone new, what are the first things you usually ask? It could be about their job, where they're from, or maybe something as simple as, "How's the weather today?" But making small talk goes beyond just asking questions. It's also about being a good listener and showing genuine interest in the other person. It's about creating a comfortable atmosphere where both people can talk freely without feeling pressured. For example, if you're traveling to a new city and meet a local, you could start by asking about the best places to visit or things to do in the area. This not only opens up the conversation, but it also shows that you're interested in the person's opinion. Or, if you're at a party, a simple, "How do you know the host?" can lead to a longer conversation and make it easier to get to know the person better. The key to making small talk with strangers is to ask open-ended questions. These are questions that can't just be answered with a simple yes or no, but require a more detailed response. For example, instead of asking, "Did you have a good weekend?" try asking, "What did you do over the weekend?" Or, "What's your favorite thing to do on the weekend?" These kinds of questions invite the other person to share more about themselves, making the conversation flow naturally. And don't forget about follow-up questions. These are important for keeping the conversation going. If someone tells you about a trip they just took, you can ask things like, "What was the highlight of your trip?" Or, "What's one thing you would recommend doing there?" This shows you're listening and interested, and it helps build a connection with the other person. Another great way to make small talk is by finding common ground. If you're at a conference or meeting new colleagues at work, try asking about topics that are relevant to the situation, like, "How long have you been working here?" Or, "What do you think about the event so far?" In these situations, people often feel more comfortable talking about shared experiences. When it comes to making small talk, one of the most common challenges is overcoming the initial nervousness of starting a conversation. You might wonder, what if I say something wrong? Or, what if the other person isn't interested in talking? These are normal concerns, but the good news is that small talk is a skill you can develop with practice. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Let's explore this further by breaking down some practical strategies that will make your small talk engaging and effective. Starting the conversation. The first step is to approach the person confidently. Even if you feel a little nervous, remember that most people appreciate a friendly conversation. Start with a simple greeting and a smile. For example, "Hi, how are you today?" is a universal opener that works in almost any situation. Depending on where you are, you can tailor your greeting to fit the context. If you're at a conference, you might say, "Hi, have you attended this event before?" If you're in a coffee shop, you could try, "Hi, have you tried the coffee here before? What do you recommend?" The trick is to make the opening line feel natural and relevant to the situation. By referencing your shared environment, you're creating an instant connection that makes the other person feel more comfortable. Asking engaging questions. Once you've broken the ice, it's time to keep the conversation flowing with engaging questions. These are the backbone of small talk and will help you avoid awkward silences. Open-ended questions, as we mentioned earlier, are your best friends in these situations. They encourage the other person to share more about themselves and their experiences. Here are a few examples based on different settings. At a networking event, "What brought you here today?" Or, "What's the most interesting session you've attended so far?" At a park, "What's your favorite thing to do here?" Or, "Do you come here often?" On public transport, "Are you heading to work or just exploring the city?" These types of questions not only show genuine interest, but also provide the other person with multiple ways to respond, making the conversation feel more dynamic. Using observational comments. Another effective way to initiate and sustain small talk is by making observational comments. These are remarks about your immediate surroundings, or something that you and the other person can easily relate to. For instance, if you're waiting in line at a cafe, you could say, "It looks like everyone is in the mood for coffee today." Or, "The weather is perfect for sitting outside, don't you think?" Observational comments are a subtle way to invite the other person to join the conversation without putting too much pressure on them. Building on shared interests. Once the conversation is underway, try to identify common interests or experiences. For example, if someone mentions they love traveling, you could ask, "What's your favorite destination so far?" Or, "Do you prefer beach vacations or exploring cities?" Finding common ground not only makes the conversation more engaging, but also creates a sense of connection between you and the other person. Let's imagine you're talking to someone at a party, and they mention that they enjoy cooking. You could say, "That's great. I've been trying to learn some new recipes lately. Do you have a go-to dish you love to make?" This approach not only keeps the conversation going, but also gives the other person a chance to share something they're passionate about. Balancing. Speaking and listening. A good conversation is a balance between speaking and listening. While it's important to share your thoughts and experiences, it's equally important to listen actively to what the other person is saying. Show that you're paying attention by nodding, maintaining eye contact, and using short verbal cues like, "That's interesting," or "I see." When appropriate, ask follow-up questions to dig deeper into the topic. For instance, if someone tells you they recently attended a music concert, you could follow up with, "That sounds amazing. What was the highlight of the performance for you?" Or, "Is this a band you've been a fan of for a long time?" These follow-ups demonstrate that you value what the other person has to say, which helps build rapport. Handling awkward silences. Awkward silences are bound to happen, especially when you're meeting someone for the first time. Instead of panicking, take a moment to think about the environment or the context of the conversation. You can use this as inspiration to bring up a new topic. For example, if there's a lull in the conversation during a networking event, you might say, "By the way, I noticed the keynote speaker mentioned topic. What did you think about that?" Alternatively, you can use humor to lighten the mood. A simple, lighthearted comment like, "I guess we're both trying to think of the perfect question to ask," can help ease any tension and bring a smile to the other person's face. Ending the conversation. Gracefully. Eventually, you'll need to wrap up the conversation, but it's important to do so in a polite and positive way. You might say something like, "It was great talking to you. I've really enjoyed learning about something they mentioned. I hope we can chat again soon." If appropriate, exchange contact information, or suggest reconnecting at a later time. This leaves the other person with a positive impression and keeps the door open for future conversations. In the rest of this episode, Alex and Olivia will guide you through practical examples and scenarios to help you practice these tips. By the end, you'll feel confident and prepared to start conversations with strangers in a variety of situations. Let's keep learning and practicing together. Building on what we've already discussed, let's dive even deeper into how you can make small talk feel natural and engaging in different scenarios. You might feel like a beginner, but with the right strategies and a little practice, you'll soon find yourself making confident and easy connections with people. Small talk isn't just about asking questions, it's about creating a friendly atmosphere, making others feel comfortable, and sharing a bit of yourself too. Adapting to different situations, small talk can look different depending on where you are, who you're with, and what's going on around you. It's important to adjust your approach based on the context. For example, at a formal event like a business conference, small talk will likely be more professional. You might start with questions like, "What do you do for work?" or "How did you get into this industry?" These questions are still conversational, but they're tailored to the context of a work event. On the other hand, if you're meeting someone casually at a coffee shop or at a social event, you can be a bit more informal and relaxed. You could start with questions like, "How do you like your coffee?" or "How did you spend your weekend?" These types of questions help to build rapport in a less formal, more personal way. Understanding the setting is crucial to making small talk feel appropriate. You wouldn't ask deeply personal questions right away in a professional setting. But in a casual setting, it's totally fine to ask someone about their hobbies, travel experiences, or favorite books. Always remember that the goal is to create a pleasant, open exchange of ideas and experiences. Using body language to enhance small talk. Did you know that nonverbal communication, such as body language and facial expressions, plays a huge role in how conversations unfold? When making small talk, it's important to be aware of how you present yourself. A friendly smile, open posture, and eye contact all help to create a warm and welcoming atmosphere. These subtle cues can make the other person feel comfortable, making it easier for them to open up to you. For instance, if you're meeting someone at a party and they're telling you about their job, nodding along and leaning slightly forward can signal that you're interested in what they have to say. You don't have to constantly agree with everything they say, but showing that you're engaged through body language goes a long way in making the conversation flow more smoothly. Sometimes, if someone seems shy or uncomfortable, you might want to adjust your body language to make them feel more at ease. For example, if you're talking to someone who is sitting with their arms crossed, you might try uncrossing your own arms or leaning in a little to demonstrate that you're open and friendly. It's all about creating an environment where both people feel comfortable enough to share and connect. Asking questions that go beyond the surface. At this point, you're probably familiar with asking simple questions like, "Where are you from?" or "What do you do for a living?" These are great starters, but to take your small talk to the next level, you'll want to ask questions that allow the other person to open up more and share something meaningful. Let's explore some ideas for deeper questions that encourage more personal responses. For example, instead of simply asking, "What do you do for work?" you could ask, "What do you enjoy most about your job?" or "What led you to this career?" These questions invite a more thoughtful response and show that you're genuinely interested in the person's experiences, not just looking for basic facts. If someone mentions their hometown, you might ask, "What's your favorite thing about living there?" Or, "How has your town changed over the years?" These types of questions give the person a chance to reflect on their own experiences, and the conversation will naturally deepen. Handling discomfort or awkward situations. Even if you're an expert in making small talk, sometimes awkward situations arise, and that's perfectly normal. Everyone experiences those moments when the conversation starts to feel forced, or there's an uncomfortable silence. So, what can you do in these situations? One approach is to embrace the awkwardness and laugh it off. For instance, if you've been talking for a while and the conversation suddenly stalls, you could say something like, "Well, it looks like we're both having trouble thinking of the next question. This can break the tension and make both of you laugh, easing the situation. Another strategy is to redirect the conversation back to a neutral topic. If the current subject is causing discomfort, try shifting to something more lighthearted, like asking about the weather or commenting on something happening in the environment. So, have you noticed how the weather has changed this week? It's been so unpredictable lately. This can help the conversation get back on track without making anyone feel self-conscious. You can also use open-ended questions to steer the conversation toward a topic that both of you are comfortable discussing. For example, if someone is talking about their work and you sense that they're not really excited about it, you could gently ask, "What do you like to do in your free time?" This gives them the chance to share something they're passionate about, which can reinvigorate the conversation. Connecting with humor is one of the best tools for making small talk feel easy and enjoyable. If the situation allows it, try to use light humor to keep things fun and relaxed. Joking about something relatable, like how awkward it is to meet new people or how confusing the menu at a restaurant is, can create a sense of camaraderie. However, make sure your humor is appropriate for the setting. Light-hearted jokes that everyone can relate to are great for breaking the ice. A good example of this could be if you're attending a social event and the conversation seems to be going in circles. You might say something like, "Well, I think we've covered every possible topic about the weather today. What should we talk about next?" This simple joke helps to refresh the conversation and gives both of you a chance to laugh. It's important to keep in mind that humor can be culturally specific, so always be mindful of the other person's background and ensure that the humor doesn't come across as inappropriate or offensive. That's why general humor about everyday situations is usually a safe bet. Practicing your skills. Finally, one of the best ways to improve your small talk skills is through regular practice. The more you engage in these types of conversations, the more comfortable and confident you will become. Start small by chatting with people you see regularly, whether it's the barista at your local coffee shop, a colleague at work, or a neighbor. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. You can also practice making small talk in English with a language partner or through online communities. There are plenty of platforms where you can find people to practice speaking with. Even if you're not meeting strangers in person, practicing through conversation exchanges will help you build the confidence to make small talk when the opportunity arises. In the next part of this episode, Alex and Olivia will share more practical examples and role-playing scenarios to help you navigate the challenges of small talk with ease. They'll cover various situations, from casual encounters to more formal interactions, so that you can be prepared for anything. By the end of this episode, you'll have the tools you need to make small talk feel like second nature in any setting. Keep listening and practicing, and soon enough, you'll be making smooth, confident small talk in English. Let's dive even deeper into the nuances of making small talk in a variety of situations, focusing on practical strategies, real-world examples, and cultural considerations. Whether you're talking to someone at a bus stop, attending a work event, or meeting a new group of people, mastering small talk will make you feel more confident and open up new opportunities for meaningful connections. Adapting to different environments with confidence. Small talk is not a one-size-fits-all skill. Different environments require different tones, topics, and levels of formality. Let's look at how to adapt your small talk strategy, depending on where you are. Professional settings. Imagine you're at a networking event or a conference. This environment often calls for polite, professional conversation. Starting with a compliment or observation about the event itself is a great icebreaker. For example, you might say, "The keynote speaker gave an amazing presentation on innovation. What did you think about it?" This question not only initiates the conversation, but also invites the other person to share their perspective. Follow up by asking, "Is this your first time attending this event?" Or, "How did you get into this industry?" These types of questions keep the tone professional while showing genuine interest. Casual social gatherings. Now, imagine you're at a friend's barbecue or a birthday party. The vibe here is much more relaxed. Small talk should feel like a natural part of the experience. You could start with something light, like, "This is such a great party. How do you know the host?" From there, you can dive into more personal but still friendly topics like hobbies, favorite foods, or travel stories. Be ready to share something about yourself as well. For example, I love trying new recipes. The dessert table here has given me some great ideas. Are you into cooking or baking? Public places and everyday encounters. Sometimes small talk happens spontaneously, like in a queue at the grocery store or while waiting for a bus. These interactions are often short, so keep the conversation light and situational. It's so hot today. It feels like summer isn't ready to leave us yet. What do you think? Even these brief exchanges can brighten someone's day and build your confidence in starting conversations. Dealing with cultural differences. In small talk varies greatly across cultures. What's appropriate or expected in one country might feel unusual in another. If you're practicing small talk in English with someone from a different cultural background, it's helpful to know some general tendencies. In English-speaking countries, in countries like the US, the UK, Canada, or Australia, small talk is often informal and centered around neutral topics like weather, sports, or recent news. Questions like, "How's your day going?" or comments like, "What a lovely park this is," are common openers. In more reserved cultures. In some cultures, people might be less accustomed to casual conversation with strangers. It's a good idea to observe their body language and tone before diving into small talk. Start with non-intrusive questions like, "Excuse me, do you know the time?" Or, "This area is so beautiful. Have you been here before?" Finding common ground. One universal rule in small talk is finding shared experiences. No matter where someone is from, talking about food, music, or general life experiences can help you connect. If you're unsure about what to say, look around for cues. If they're holding a book, you might ask, "Is that book interesting? I've been looking for something new to read." Practicing active listening. Active listening is a crucial element of small talk. It shows that you're genuinely interested and encourages the other person to keep talking. Here's how you can practice it. Show you're engaged. Use verbal cues like, "That's interesting," or "I see what you mean." This keeps the conversation flowing. Paraphrase and reflect. Repeat or rephrase what the other person has said to show you're paying attention. For example, "So you've been living here for 2 years? That must have been an exciting change." Ask follow-up questions. If someone mentions they recently visited a new city, ask, "What was the highlight of your trip?" Or, "Would you recommend it to others?" These follow-ups keep the conversation alive. Handling awkward silences. Silences are natural, but they don't have to feel awkward. Here's how to navigate them smoothly. Acknowledge and redirect. If there's a pause, you might say, "I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?" This shows you're willing to keep the conversation going. Switch topics. Keep a mental list of neutral topics to switch to. If one subject doesn't seem to spark interest, pivot to another. By the way, did you catch the latest episode of that popular TV show? Ask for opinions people love, sharing their views. If the silence stretches too long, ask, "What's your take on that?" Or, "Have you ever experienced something similar?" Turning small talk into meaningful connections. The ultimate goal of small talk is to create a connection. To do this, look for moments when the conversation naturally deepens. If someone mentions a passion or a memorable experience, take the opportunity to explore it further. For example, if someone says they love hiking, you might respond with, "That's amazing. Where's the most beautiful place you've hiked? I've always wanted to try, but I'm not sure where to start." This not only keeps the conversation going, but also opens the door for a more meaningful exchange. Role-playing scenarios. Let's put this into practice with some examples. Scenario: meeting a stranger at a coffee shop. You: "This cafe is so cozy. Do you come here often?" Stranger: "Not really. It's my first time here." You: Oh, me too. I heard they have great pastries. What do you recommend? Scenario: starting a conversation at an event. You: these conferences are always a great way to learn something new. What brought you here today? Stranger: I'm here for the keynote speaker. Their research is fascinating. You: I've heard great things about their work. What's your favorite part about their research? The goal is to keep the tone friendly, encouraging, and natural. Making small talk is a valuable skill that can help you navigate different social situations with confidence. It's about striking a balance between asking questions, showing interest, and contributing to the conversation. The more you practice, the more comfortable you will become. Let's explore this further by diving into different scenarios where small talk plays a key role and how to approach them. Small talk in the workplace. How to engage your colleagues in the workplace. Small talk can be a great way to build relationships with colleagues. It helps you stay connected and form a friendly work environment. But small talk at work is slightly different from casual settings. It's important to be mindful of boundaries, especially when it comes to discussing personal topics. Morning greetings. A simple good morning, followed by a small comment about the weather or the day's agenda, can get the conversation started. For example, good morning. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day outside, doesn't it? Or, how's your day going so far? Got anything exciting planned after work? These questions are light and easy to answer, but can set a friendly tone for the day. Discussing work-related topics. Work-related small talk often centers around projects, deadlines, and team collaborations. This is where you can ask questions like, how's the project you're working on going? Any challenges so far? I've heard a lot about the new system we're using. How's it going for you? These questions show interest in your colleagues' tasks and allow them to share their experience, which builds rapport. It's a great way to get to know your coworkers outside of just the work context. During breaks or lunchtime or coffee breaks are great opportunities for casual conversations. Here, you can dive into topics like food, hobbies, or your weekend plans. You could say, I'm always looking for new places to grab lunch around here. Got any good recommendations? Have you done anything fun this weekend? I went to a hiking trail nearby. These kinds of questions help build camaraderie and allow you to connect over shared interests. Small talk in social gatherings. How to be approachable. Social gatherings, like parties, weddings, or casual get-togethers, provide an opportunity to meet new people and practice your small talk skills. The key is to make others feel comfortable and engaged. Remember, the aim is to ease into the conversation and make the other person feel like they are being heard. Opening the conversation. At a social event, you can start by introducing yourself or commenting on something happening around you. For example, hey, I'm your name. Nice to meet you. This place is so cool. Have you been here before? Or, this music is great, isn't it? What kind of music do you usually listen to? These are non-intrusive ways to start a conversation without making the other person feel uncomfortable. Finding shared interests. One of the easiest ways to engage in small talk at social events is by discovering shared interests. It could be related to the event itself, or even something unrelated. You might ask, how do you know host's name? I'm always looking for new shows to watch. Seen anything good lately? By focusing on common ground, you're more likely to find a topic that both of you can talk about comfortably. It's an excellent way to maintain a flowing conversation. Using humor in small talk. Humor is a great tool for easing tension and making the conversation enjoyable. However, it's important to keep it lighthearted and avoid sensitive topics. For instance, I almost got lost on the way here. I think my GPS was on vacation. I can never remember the names of songs. Do you have that problem, or is it just me? Laughter can break the ice and make small talk feel more natural and less like an interview. Small talk in online settings. How to stay engaged. Virtually. With the rise of online meetings, virtual events, and social media, small talk has evolved. Today, it's just as important to be able to make small talk online as it is in person. Online interactions might feel more formal, but with the right approach, you can still make meaningful connections. In virtual work meetings. Virtual work meetings often begin with small talk to warm up before diving into the main agenda. Here, you can ask questions about people's weekends or share something lighthearted like, "Did anyone watch that new movie on Netflix over the weekend? I heard it's really good. How's the weather been for you? It's sunny here, which is a nice change." These questions are casual and offer a chance for colleagues to engage before starting the work-related discussions. During online social events. Virtual social events, like online hangouts or webinars, can also start with some small talk. Commenting on something relevant to the event, like the speaker or the theme, helps ease into the conversation. "This is such an interesting topic. How did you get interested in this field? I love seeing so many different faces today. Where's everyone joining us from?" Here, you can bring the conversation back to the event itself or share something about your own background to create connections. Social media engagement. On social media, small talk happens through comments, messages, and posts. A great way to engage with others is by asking light questions in your posts or responding to comments with curiosity. "I just finished reading book title. Has anyone else read it? What did you think? Looking for recommendations on podcasts? What are your favorites?" This encourages others to share their thoughts and opens the door for further conversations. It's also a way to engage with like-minded people. Handling different personality types. During small talk, everyone has their own communication style, and being able to recognize and adjust to different personalities will make your small talk more effective. Whether you're speaking with introverts, extroverts, or people who prefer deep conversations, adapting your approach is key. Introverts. Introverts may not enjoy small talk as much as extroverts, but they still appreciate meaningful conversations. Start by asking open-ended questions that give them space to share their thoughts without feeling pressured. For example, "I read that you like photography. What kind of photography do you enjoy the most?" Introverts will often appreciate questions that give them the opportunity to share their passions or interests without feeling overwhelmed. Extroverts. Extroverts are more likely to engage in lively, spontaneous small talk. They often enjoy discussing a wide range of topics. With extroverts, you can keep the conversation going by contributing your own stories or sharing your experiences. "That's interesting. I recently went to a concert and it was so much fun. Do you go to a lot of shows?" Extroverts enjoy a dynamic conversation where both people exchange ideas and stories. People who prefer deep conversations. Some people prefer to skip the small talk and get straight to the heart of things. If you encounter someone like this, it's okay to steer the conversation toward a deeper subject once you've gotten to know them a little better. I've always found it fascinating how people change over time. What are some of the most significant changes you've experienced? Recognizing when to transition from small talk to deeper topics shows that you are attentive and considerate of the other person's communication style. Using small talk to build relationships. Over time, while small talk might seem fleeting, it can have a lasting impact if you use it to build relationships over time. Instead of thinking of small talk as a short-term interaction, consider it a stepping stone to developing stronger connections with others. The more consistent you are with engaging in small talk, the easier it becomes to move toward deeper conversations as you develop trust and mutual understanding. Final thoughts. Making small talk. Your secret. Weapon. Mastering the art of small talk can unlock countless opportunities for both personal and professional growth. Whether you're networking, meeting new friends, or simply engaging in everyday conversations, small talk helps you build bridges, create connections, and make people feel at ease. By practicing these strategies and adapting to different situations, you'll find yourself feeling more confident and capable of handling any social interaction. Keep practicing, and soon enough, small talk will feel like second nature. Small talk is one of the most valuable skills you can develop in English, especially in a world that is increasingly interconnected. The ability to converse easily with others, no matter the setting, opens doors to both personal and professional opportunities. Whether you're meeting someone for the first time or interacting with someone you've known for years, small talk sets the foundation for a meaningful connection. Let's explore further by diving deeper into various scenarios where small talk is essential and providing strategies to make it more effective. Small talk in cafes or restaurants. Building friendships. Over a meal, one of the most common situations where small talk comes into play is when you're at a cafe or a restaurant. This environment is naturally conducive to casual conversation because everyone is relaxed, enjoying food, and in a social mood. Here's how you can engage. Starting the conversation. When you're seated at a table, whether you're with a friend or a stranger, it's easy to begin with the menu or the atmosphere of the restaurant. For example, "Have you been here before? The coffee is amazing, isn't it?" Or, "I love the cozy vibe here. Do you usually come to this place?" These are light, simple questions that don't put too much pressure on the person you're speaking with, and they provide an opportunity to exchange preferences or recommendations. Discussing food preferences. Talking about food is a universal topic that brings people together, as everyone has preferences or experiences to share. Asking questions about food can naturally guide the conversation. "What's your go-to meal when you come out to eat? I'm always looking for new recommendations." "I've been trying to eat more healthy lately, but this dessert looks too good to resist." What's your weakness when it comes to food? The shared experience of enjoying a meal together gives a natural starting point for a conversation, helping you bond over the same enjoyment. Talking about recent experiences. Another great way to make small talk in a restaurant is to talk about food trends or recent experiences you've had in other cafes or restaurants. These types of exchanges not only build rapport, but also help you learn more about the other person's tastes. For example, "I recently tried that new Italian place down the street. The pizza was incredible. Have you been there yet?" "I just got back from a trip to City Name and the food there was amazing. I had the best food item of my life." Sharing your travel and food experiences is another excellent way to engage in conversation that feels personal, fun, and insightful. Small talk in public transportation. Turning mundane moments into conversations. Even during everyday activities like commuting or waiting for the bus, small talk can make the experience more enjoyable and help pass the time. Public transportation often brings together people from different walks of life, making it a perfect opportunity to engage in light conversations. Starting with the basics. A simple hello, followed by a comment about the current situation, such as the weather, can quickly spark a conversation. You could say, "It's pretty packed today, isn't it? Looks like everyone's heading into the city." Or, "It's really hot out today, don't you think? I'm glad we're inside." Simple observations like these allow the other person to join in without feeling pressured, which can lead to an easy and natural conversation. Asking for directions or suggestions. Asking for directions is another great way to initiate small talk during your commute. Most people are more than willing to help and will appreciate your friendliness. For example, "I'm trying to find the best place to grab coffee around here. Do you know any good spots? This is my first time visiting this area. Any advice on the best places to visit?" Not only does this lead to a conversation, but it also opens the door to local insights and tips that may be valuable to you. Commenting on shared experiences. Since public transportation often involves common experiences, you can also bond over these moments. For instance, if there's a delay or the train is packed, you could say, "Seems like the train is running late again today. I'm getting used to it, but it's still frustrating." Or, "I always find it funny when the bus is too crowded and everyone has to squish in. It's a game of who can find the seat." Sharing these minor frustrations or amusing moments can create a sense of camaraderie, especially when both parties are experiencing the same situation. Small talk at networking events. Making professional connections. Networking events provide an excellent platform for making professional connections, but they can often feel a bit intimidating, especially when you don't know anyone. However, Small talk is a great way to break the ice and make connections before diving into deeper discussions about work. Introducing yourself with confidence. At a networking event, it's important to introduce yourself confidently, but in a way that invites conversation. For example, "Hi, I'm your name, and I work in industry. I'm always looking for new ideas and collaborations. What about you?" Starting with a simple introduction opens the door for others to share their own background, and it's an easy way to begin the conversation without feeling too awkward. Asking about professional backgrounds. One of the most natural topics of conversation at a networking event is discussing work. You can start by asking the other person about their professional background or their goals. What kind of projects are you currently working on? How did you get started in this field? I'd love to hear your story. These questions show genuine interest in the other person's career and help you connect over shared professional interests. Discussing common goals. If you're at a networking event with a specific goal in mind, such as seeking business partners or finding new clients, small talk can be a great way to uncover common interests. For instance, "I'm currently working on a new project in industry. Have you been involved in similar initiatives? What kind of professional growth are you hoping to achieve this year?" By sharing your goals and asking others about theirs, you open the door for potential future collaborations or professional relationships. Small talk in cross-cultural settings. Navigating differences with respect. When you're interacting with people from different cultural backgrounds, small talk can also help bridge gaps and create understanding. It's essential to be sensitive to cultural differences, but small talk can be a way to build rapport while respecting cultural norms. Respecting cultural norms. Different cultures have different approaches to small talk, and being aware of these differences will help you make the conversation feel more comfortable. For instance, some cultures may prefer more formal greetings, while others may value more casual conversation. By adjusting your approach, you show respect and sensitivity. I've always found it fascinating to learn about different cultures. What do you enjoy most about your country's traditions? Being aware of the other person's cultural background and being open to learning from them is a great way to engage in meaningful small talk. Sharing your own experiences. Sharing your personal experiences from your own culture can also be a great conversation starter. For example, if you are attending an international event, you could say, "In my country, we have a tradition of described tradition. How about where you're from?" This not only provides an opportunity to share your culture, but it also allows the other person to share their own experiences, creating a two-way exchange. Using small talk to deepen relationships. Over time, small talk is not just a short-term interaction. It can lay the groundwork for deeper relationships. Over time, as you engage in repeated small talk with the same people, you can gradually transition into more meaningful conversations. This builds trust and familiarity, and it makes it easier to discuss more personal topics. By continuing to practice small talk and taking a genuine interest in others, you will naturally find opportunities to develop closer relationships. Eventually, small talk can turn into discussions about more important topics like life goals, values, and dreams. The more consistent you are with your small talk, the more comfortable and natural it will feel, and the more rewarding your social and professional interactions will become. Remember, small talk is the foundation of many great conversations, friendships, and connections. Keep practicing, and you will see how it can lead to deeper and more fulfilling interactions with others, whether in personal or professional contexts. The key is to be open, engaged, and adaptable to different situations. To truly master the art of small talk, it's essential to explore different strategies and techniques that not only help initiate conversations, but also sustain them in a meaningful way. Small talk is an invaluable tool in building relationships, gaining insights, and making others feel comfortable in your presence. Let's delve deeper into more scenarios and approaches that can enhance your ability to make small talk effectively, naturally, and confidently. Small talk at social gatherings. Navigating group conversations with ease. Social gatherings, such as parties, weddings, or community events, present unique opportunities to practice small talk. These settings often involve a mix of people you know and others you're meeting for the first time. The dynamics can be challenging, but also rewarding if you approach them with the right mindset. Approaching a group conversation. Joining a group conversation might feel intimidating, but it's easier than it seems. Start by observing the topic they're discussing. Wait for a natural pause, then introduce yourself with a friendly comment or question. Hi, I couldn't help but overhear. You're talking about travel? That's one of my favorite topics. Have you been anywhere exciting recently? By aligning your introduction with the group's current discussion, you immediately become part of the conversation without interrupting. Balancing. Listening and contributing. Once you've joined the conversation, strike a balance between listening and contributing. People appreciate someone who actively listens and responds thoughtfully. For example, "That's such an interesting point about visiting Japan in spring. Did you get to see the cherry blossoms? I've always wanted to experience that." Acknowledging what others have said and expanding on it shows that you're engaged and invested in the conversation. Introducing new topics. Gracefully. If the conversation reaches a natural end, or you notice others losing interest, it's an opportunity to introduce a new topic. Transition smoothly by making a lighthearted observation. This reminds me of a conversation I had about hidden travel gems. Does anyone here have a favorite spot that's off the beaten path? Such open-ended questions encourage everyone to share their experiences, keeping the dialogue lively and inclusive. Small talk at work. Strengthening professional relationships. Workplace interactions are another area where small talk plays a critical role. It helps build rapport with colleagues, improve team dynamics, and create a positive atmosphere. Whether it's during breaks, meetings, or casual encounters, knowing how to engage in small talk can greatly enhance your workplace relationships. Starting conversations with colleagues. Begin with simple questions that aren't overly personal, but show genuine interest. For example, how's your day going? Busy as usual, or do you have something exciting on the agenda? I saw your presentation last week. It was impressive. How did you come up with those ideas? Complimenting their work or asking about their day sets a friendly and professional tone. Talking about shared interests. Work environments often provide shared topics, such as ongoing projects, company events, or industry trends. You could say, "The team meeting today was really engaging. What did you think about the new strategy they proposed? I read an article about a new tool that could really help streamline our workflow. Have you heard of it?" These discussions allow you to connect over common goals while contributing ideas that add value. Being mindful of boundaries. While small talk at work can be light and fun, it's important to remain professional and avoid overly personal or controversial topics. Stick to neutral, inclusive subjects that everyone can relate to. For instance, the weather's been so unpredictable lately. Do you prefer warm or cooler seasons? Or, did you catch the latest episode of popular show? It seems like everyone's talking about it. Keeping the conversation neutral ensures a positive and respectful interaction. Small talk. During travel. Making connections with strangers. Traveling is one of the best opportunities to meet new people and engage in small talk. Whether you're on a plane, at an airport, or exploring a new city, conversations with fellow travelers can be both enriching and enjoyable. Breaking the ice with fellow travelers. Starting a conversation while traveling often begins with a shared observation or question. For example, "This airport is massive. Have you traveled through here before?" Or, "The view from the plane window is stunning. Are you traveling for business or pleasure?" These comments are casual and open-ended, inviting the other person to share their perspective. Sharing travel experiences. Once the conversation gets going, exchange stories about your travel adventures. This is a topic most people enjoy discussing. "I visited destination last year, and it was incredible. Have you ever been there? What was your favorite place to visit?" "I love trying local cuisine when I travel. Have you discovered any must-try dishes during your trip?" Sharing travel tips and experiences not only keeps the conversation engaging, but also provides valuable insights. Discussing future plans. Conversations about future travel plans can also keep the dialogue lively. For example, I'm thinking about visiting destination next year. Do you have any recommendations for places to stay or things to do? What's the top place on your travel bucket list? I'm always looking for new ideas. This type of exchange creates a sense of excitement and curiosity, making the interaction memorable. Advanced small talk strategies. Going beyond the basics. As you gain confidence in making small talk, you can start incorporating advanced strategies to keep the conversation flowing naturally and make a lasting impression. Using humor to build rapport. A little humor goes a long way in creating a relaxed and friendly atmosphere. For instance, I always feel like the weather forecast is guessing. It's like flipping a coin. Or, this coffee is so strong, I think it might keep me awake for the entire week. Lighthearted jokes or observations make the conversation enjoyable without being too serious. Asking thoughtful follow-up questions. Instead of sticking to surface-level topics, dig a little deeper by asking follow-up questions that show genuine interest. You mentioned you love hiking. What's the most challenging trail you've ever done? You said you're into photography. What's your favorite subject to shoot? Follow-ups signal that you're actively listening, which makes the other person feel valued. Transitioning to more meaningful topics. If the interaction feels comfortable, you can transition from small talk to deeper conversations by exploring topics like personal passions or life goals. It's amazing how travel opens your perspective. What's one place that changed the way you see the world? I find it fascinating how people choose their careers. What inspired you to pursue your path? These topics encourage introspection and foster a genuine connection. By practicing these strategies and adapting them to different situations, you'll not only become more comfortable with small talk, but also build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Whether you're chatting with a stranger, colleague, or acquaintance, your ability to navigate small talk effectively will set you apart as someone approachable, engaging, and thoughtful. Let's continue to build on these ideas. Mastering small talk with new people. A deeper dive into conversational strategies. Building upon the basics of small talk, let's explore how you can expand your conversational strategies to engage deeply with new people and make lasting impressions. The goal is to move beyond just asking simple questions to creating connections that feel more natural, interesting, and memorable. It's important to remember that small talk is not just about filling silence, but rather establishing rapport, fostering trust, and opening doors for meaningful conversations. Small talk in informal settings, keeping conversations light and engaging. In informal settings, small talk is your opportunity to connect with others on a personal level without pressure. Whether you're hanging out with a friend's friends, at a casual networking event, or even while waiting in line, making small talk can open doors to deeper connections. Using personal observations to start a conversation. When you're in a relaxed environment, try starting a conversation based on something in your immediate surroundings or an ongoing activity. For instance, wow, this band is amazing. Do you come to these events often? Or, this coffee shop has such a cozy vibe. Do you have any other favorite spots around here? A comment on your surroundings sets the tone for the conversation and invites the other person to share their thoughts, creating a shared experience, creating a comfortable space for interaction. In informal settings, it's important to make the other person feel at ease. When starting small talk, consider being open about your own thoughts or experiences. For example, I'm always the one who's last to finish my drink. How about you? Do you ever get distracted in places like this? Sharing something lighthearted about yourself builds trust and encourages the other person to open up. Using active listening to create a connection. A key to engaging in meaningful small talk is your ability to listen actively. By focusing on what the other person is saying and responding thoughtfully, you can keep the conversation flowing and deepen the interaction. When they mention something about their life, consider asking a follow-up question. You mentioned you went to Europe last year. What was the most memorable part of the trip? Or, you love cooking? What's your signature dish? I could use some inspiration in the kitchen. People love talking about themselves when you show interest in what they're saying. Active listening encourages a natural flow and helps the conversation feel more authentic. Small talk in formal situations. Balancing professionalism and engagement. While small talk is often associated with informal situations, it's just as important in formal settings, such as business events, conferences, or professional meetings. Knowing how to navigate these conversations with grace and professionalism is key to leaving a positive impression. Starting conversations with confidence. In a professional setting, it's important to approach small talk with confidence. You can begin with general questions or comments related to the event or the industry you're in. How are you finding the conference so far? Have you attended any interesting talks? Or, this is such a great venue for a networking event. Have you been to other events here before? A simple observation about the environment or the event can set the stage for deeper discussions. Transitioning from small talk to meaningful conversations. In professional settings, small talk can act as a gateway to more substantial conversations. For example, if you're talking about the event or meeting, you could segue into discussing the main objectives. It's great to meet others in the industry. What projects are you currently working on? Or, I've heard a lot about the recent advancements in industry. What's your take on the new trends? These kinds of transitions allow the conversation to move from the surface level to a more professional discussion, fostering mutual learning and respect, finding common ground to strengthen your connection. Whether you're meeting someone at a conference or at a formal dinner, finding common ground will help solidify the connection. Ask open-ended questions about their interests or challenges, focusing on areas where you share experiences or goals. You mentioned that you're working on a new project. What challenges are you facing in the current climate? Or, I've been reading about the latest innovations in your field. What's the most exciting thing you've encountered recently? By showing a keen interest in their work or perspective, you demonstrate your value as a potential collaborator or ally in the professional world. Small talk at social events, extending your circle of connections. Social events like dinner parties, happy hours, or group meetups provide fantastic opportunities to practice small talk, expand your network, and even make lasting friendships. Small talk in unexpected situations, turning casual encounters into conversations. Small talk doesn't always happen in planned settings. Sometimes it occurs spontaneously in everyday situations, like while waiting in line, during a commute, or even at the grocery store. Making the most of these brief encounters can turn a fleeting moment into a valuable connection. Seizing spontaneous opportunities. When you're in a situation where small talk could naturally arise, such as waiting in line or sitting next to someone on a train, seize the opportunity to make a friendly comment. For example, the line is moving pretty slowly today. Have you been waiting here long? It's such a busy time of year. Are you traveling for work or vacation? By showing openness and being polite, you invite the other person to engage, turning an ordinary moment into an enjoyable conversation. Reading the other person's cues. Spontaneous small talk often requires you to read the other person's body language and energy. If they seem open to the conversation, continue with more questions or comments. If they appear busy or uninterested, respect their space and keep it brief. For example, it looks like you've had a long day. I'll let you get back to your tasks. Hopefully we'll catch up soon. Respecting these cues ensures that the interaction feels comfortable and natural for both parties. Small talk in group settings. Navigating conversations in social circles, group settings, whether they're family gatherings, community events, or parties, offer unique opportunities for small talk. Conversations can sometimes feel overwhelming in large groups, especially when you're trying to get to know multiple people at once. However, small talk can still be an effective way to break the ice, keep things lighthearted, and connect with others. Engaging with multiple people. When participating in group conversations, try engaging with several people instead of just focusing on one person. You could make general comments that invite responses from the group as a whole. What do you think of the food here? I'm trying to decide if I should go for the main course or dessert first. Or, has anyone here seen that new show on Netflix? I keep hearing about it but haven't had the time to watch it yet. By asking questions that invite group participation, you give others the chance to share their opinions, which can stimulate more diverse discussions and keep everyone involved. Navigating different personalities in groups. In group settings, you may encounter people with various personality types. Some might be outgoing, while others are more reserved. It's important to adjust your approach depending on who you're talking to. For example, when engaging with someone who's quieter, you might start with open-ended questions that encourage them to express themselves. I see you've been to a few different countries. What's your favorite travel experience? Or if the person seems to enjoy more practical discussions, you might go for, I'm always trying to improve my productivity. Do you have any tips for staying organized? For more extroverted individuals, feel free to ask more lively or humorous questions. What's the craziest thing you've done this year? I'm always looking for something fun and spontaneous to try. By adapting your questions to different personalities, you create a more inclusive and enjoyable experience for everyone involved. Small talk with people from different cultures. Navigating cross-cultural conversations, one of the most interesting and enriching aspects of small talk, is the ability to engage with people from diverse backgrounds. When speaking with individuals from different cultures, it's important to approach the conversation with sensitivity, curiosity, and respect. Doing so will not only enhance your conversational skills, but also broaden your understanding of the world. Cultural sensitivity and awareness. Understanding cultural nuances can help avoid awkward situations. Before initiating small talk, it's essential to be aware of certain customs or sensitivities. For example, in some cultures, talking about personal matters like family or religion right away may be considered intrusive, while in others, it might be seen as polite. To navigate these situations, consider starting with neutral topics, such as the weather or general observations about your environment. The weather here is incredible. I'm used to much colder climates. How do you find it? Or, it's so interesting to see how different cities celebrate festivals. Have you experienced any traditional festivals here? Asking questions like these shows an interest in their experience without crossing any cultural boundaries. Using common ground to bridge differences. When talking to people from different cultures, you can find common ground through shared experiences, such as travel or food. For instance, you could mention a place you've both visited, or a food you both enjoy. I just tried the best sushi in town. Is sushi something you grew up eating? Or, I love learning about different countries. Have you ever been to City Country? What was your favorite part about it? By focusing on universal experiences like food, travel, or nature, you can form a meaningful connection that transcends cultural barriers. Showing genuine curiosity, without stereotyping. It's natural to be curious about someone's culture, but it's important to avoid making assumptions based on stereotypes. Instead of asking overly generalized questions about a person's background, try asking them to share their personal experiences. I'd love to hear more about your hometown. What's one thing about it that people might be surprised to know? Or, what's something from your culture that you feel everyone should experience at least once? This approach allows the other person to share what's meaningful to them and opens the door for a more authentic conversation. Small talk with colleagues and coworkers. Balancing professionalism and personal connection. In the workplace, small talk can be a powerful tool for building relationships, strengthening team dynamics, and fostering a collaborative environment. However, it's essential to balance professionalism with the need to connect on a personal level. Talking about work-related topics. At the office or in professional settings, small talk often revolves around work-related topics, such as upcoming projects, deadlines, or team achievements. By keeping the conversation light and positive, you build a sense of camaraderie. "How's your project coming along? I heard you had a big presentation coming up." Or, "Have you had a chance to check out the new software? I've been meaning to ask you about it." These types of questions not only keep the conversation professional, but also help establish a sense of shared purpose and collaboration in the workplace. Sharing personal interests to build trust. While work-related small talk is important, sharing a bit about your personal interests can help you develop a more personal connection with your colleagues. For example, if you're both passionate about a hobby or activity, ask about their experiences. "I've been thinking about picking up a new hobby. Do you have any recommendations?" Or, "I saw that you enjoy running. How did you get into it? And do you have any tips for beginners?" Sharing personal interests creates a more relaxed atmosphere where coworkers feel comfortable talking about their lives outside of work, ultimately strengthening the workplace bond. Navigating difficult conversations with tact. Occasionally, small talk in a professional setting may require you to navigate tricky or sensitive topics, such as disagreements with a colleague or a challenging project. It's essential to handle these discussions with tact. I know we've had different perspectives on this project, but I think we both have valuable insights. How can we work together to find a solution? Or, "I understand this task is stressful, but I know we can tackle it together. How can I help?" By acknowledging challenges and offering solutions in a respectful manner, you show that you're a team player, fostering a positive work environment. Using humor in small talk. Lightening the mood. Humor is an excellent tool for making small talk more engaging and building rapport with others. However, it's important to use humor appropriately, considering the context and the people you're speaking with. Using self-deprecating humor. One effective way to inject humor into small talk is through self-deprecating humor, where you make fun of yourself in a light-hearted manner. This shows that you don't take yourself too seriously and can help others feel more at ease. For example, "I tried cooking a new recipe yesterday, and let's just say, the smoke alarm was the only thing that turned out well." Or, "I'm the worst at directions. I got lost on the way here, but at least I found this amazing cafe on the way." This type of humor is relatable and often elicits a laugh, making the conversation feel more relaxed. Sharing funny stories. Telling a funny but appropriate personal story can add depth to your small talk. People love hearing about relatable experiences that offer a sense of connection. For example, "You won't believe this, but I ended up wearing mismatched socks all day yesterday. Didn't realize until I got home." Or, "I once tried to impress my friends with a new dance move. Let's just say it didn't go as planned, but we all had a good laugh." Sharing humor in this way shows your light-hearted side and helps others connect with you on a more personal level.